Hello everyone, welcome to today's video where today I have something very special. We have the Marvel Legends made-to-order Mephisto right here. Now this is the made-to-order. This is like, I think this is their replacement for the whole HasLab situation because I guess those weren't funding anymore, or I guess one Marvel HasLab didn't fund and so they just decided to quit. That's the problem with companies. They never try. If something doesn't make money immediately, they just give up. Every other HasLab did very well. Just because Engine of Vengeance didn't do well, I don't know why they. And that was more their fault. But that's a rant for another time. This is a figure I think we've collectively all wanted for a very long time. Because all we had before was the Marvel Select, and that's an okay figure. It's just very expensive. I don't think it's as expensive now since this came out, but very expensive, very old, outdated figure. Looks great. All Marvel Selects, in my opinion, look great. But yeah, I really like the box. I think it's really nice. The lettering is really nice. This reminds me of the episode of SpongeBob where he's writing an essay and he sits there and he spends like a long time, like hours, on just the word the T in there. It kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, I figured there's the name again. There's a comic shot actually of Mephisto. Same shot there. And then we have another product shot and a read up on the back. Let me get it a little closer and I'll read it. Ruling the Stygian deep atop his throne, Mephisto, Lord of Evil, schemes and captures the immortal souls of men. Immortal souls of men, especially those in the Marvel Universe's mightiest heroes and most vile villains. Is that meaning to say immoral? I guess immortal makes sense as well for the character, but like, because souls don't die, but I don't know. I feel like it would be immoral because you die, you're bad, you go to hell. Yeah, whatever. I already have this guy out. I've really only had him out for a couple minutes, but I do have him on his throne already. I'm just gonna. Yeah, there he is. We're gonna take him out, and he does already have his cloth goods on, because I wanted to see what he looked like sitting in the thing. This might be on backwards because there's a longer tassel and a shorter tassel. Not by much, really. Actually, maybe not. Yeah, this one's a little bit longer. So if you want the longer tassel in the front, you can. If you want it in the back, you can. It doesn't really matter. And then, yeah. So you get some cloth goods and some plastic molded goods in this set so he can sit in the throne. I would have preferred to just have more accessories and then just this could have been wired like they did at the Maximum Thor. That's a retail figure. This is made to order. It would have made more sense for this to have wired soft goods than that to have. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining that Thor has wired soft goods, but this should have definitely had wired, at least in the cape. This I don't think necessarily needs it. It would have been cool to have, but the cape especially needs to have. It should have had wires in it. But that's just a me thing. This guy retails what, $80 before tax. He is the second made-to-order figure I own. I will not be pulling out the first. The first one is the X-Men 97 Sentinel. But out of all the made-to-orders and HasLabs we've had, this is the one I wanted the most outside of Galactus. And don't get me wrong, I love the Sentinels. I love Dragon Man, actually, as well. And I love, yeah, like I said, I've loved both versions of the Sentinel, actually. But, I mean, Galactus is like the Marvel villain to me. He's, if not the Marvel villain, he's one of the Marvel villains. So that's the one I wanted the most, and I don't think I'm ever going to own that unless they do a cheaper version or re-release that one, so I don't have to spend fucking $1,000 on it. But yeah, avert your eyes, by the way, if you're not into the hellish side of things, because this is basically Marvel's Devil. So yeah, this guy's awesome, actually pretty cool. The figure itself doesn't feel like it's worth the $80. It's really the throne where that feels like that comes into play. We'll look at that in a minute, but he's just kind of a average looking Marvel Legends, but still really I like him a lot. I mean, it's probably just because of who the character is, and we've needed this character, and I'm a big Midnight Suns guy. I will tell you right now, I don't have the Blackheart Build-A-Figure wave yet. I will pick that up. I was putting it off because I didn't want to. I don't know why. I never want to buy full waves if there's only like one or two characters in it. I don't like Build-A-Figure waves. Um, because I don't know. I really didn't want that Storm, the Vampire Storm, and I didn't want Helverine. I know he doesn't come with a piece for the Build-A-Figure, but now I do kind of want him because I didn't realize I have all the Spirit of Vengeance and all of the Ghost Rider characters. Well, not all of them, but I have a good amount. Like for example, I have the Spider-Man one, and I don't even like the suit, so I might get Helverine because I do at least like the Helverine suit. It's just, yeah, but I will end up. I'll have to buy the Blackheart Build-A-Figure piece with the Moon Knight in there. But besides that, but yeah, I do want him with his sons and all the Engines of Vengeance, or not Engines of Vengeance, sorry, Spirit of Vengeances, and like a few other characters that we'll get into actually because I have a good amount of Midnight Suns characters. But like Lilith and stuff, I will be picking things up because this is a figure I've needed for so long, and I cannot wait to have him as my centerpiece on my Midnight Suns display. All right, so as far as the figure goes, like I said, he has soft goods, which do look very nice. Like, they look great, especially this side of them, the inside. You can actually see there's like a tampo on there where it makes it look kind of just really cool. And it's a very ragged cape. Same with the loincloth. And then that looks like Mephisto. Tell me that doesn't look like Mephisto. His alternate head is the head I more think as Mephisto, and that is actually the head we're going to probably put on. I do think I like this hair better, because this one's a little bit crazier, more like, I don't know, kind of Medusa-ish. Or, it reminds me of the zombie Scarlet Witch from the Disney Plus show. Kind of reminds me of that. But this is the head I think of for Mephisto, and the reason I say it like that is because, actually, I was thinking about it, and I think I saw this on, it was a Facebook group. You can use the alternate head and make an Azazel, which is, Nightcrawler's dad. Well, retcon to be Nightcrawler's dad. It was originally supposed to be Destiny and Mystique were the parents of Nightcrawler, but they retconned it, and then now they've recently re-retconned it to be that original storyline. So if you didn't know that, the newer quote-unquote retcon, where it's actually Destiny is the dad, or quote-unquote dad, actually, that is technically a retcon of a retcon, because that was supposed to be the original plan. But you put this on a body, and I don't have any black suits around, so I have a suited body. Where did I put that suited body at? It is down here. Okay. I do have a suited body just to see what it looks like with a suited body. The only black suit body I have is Tombstone, and you can't really put this head on Tombstone's body because, well, the neck don't match up. So yeah, if you just, number one, give him the spare pair of hands, obviously, and then just put it in like a skinnier suit body, this will work, I feel like. Yeah, Jigsaw is not going to be placed, but I just figured I'd show you that. Okay, now let's get into articulation and everything. First off, I will say the gloves and boot tops are really nice, sculpted, like wrap looks. Gives me very Daredevil vibes. I see a lot of people put that type of stuff on their Daredevil, which I think is a reference to Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, so that's cool. And then the hair looks great. The face is just, this is a beautiful face. This is my favorite out of the two. Like I said, I prefer the other one's hair. Like, definitely this hair is better, but this one is a great face. If I could maybe manage to take the hair off this one and swap hairs, that would be cool. I wish they'd start doing like they're doing with that Maximum Thor and make the faces swappable so that you could have alternate hairs and faces like together, and that would be cool. But yeah, he's just a normal, tall dude. Marvel Legends, we'll get him next to a Spirit of Vengeance. This is an older Ghost Rider, and you can see he's not huge. He's not Galactus size. He's not even Hulk size, but he's like bigger than your average one, which I think fits really well with Mephisto. He could have been a little bit bigger, and I wouldn't have complained, but this is still a really good size. He's a nice, skinny, lanky body. I'm sure they'll reuse this body, although maybe not because there's no cut here. It's just that is, and the reason they did that, I know why they did that. It's because you have to be able to take this apart so you can swap between the plastic and soft goods capes, which we will do in a second. But that would have alleviated that if they would have just made them all this wired and then just kept this soft, because I don't think anyone's really going to use he's going to be sitting in the throne probably 90% of people's displays, and I don't think anyone's going to really be using the plastic cape and stuff. So that's just my 2 cents. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But he looks great. I'm a big fan of this character. I'm a big fan of Midnight Suns. The last big story I think he was in that I remember him from was Midnight Suns, the game that I really loved. He's in one of the DLCs for that, and he's great in that. He's actually really well characterized, which most characters are in that game. That is a love letter to those characters. I love that game so much. Play it if you have not. But the last comic book I can think of him being in was Brand New Day. Was that's what it's called, right? Brand New Day, or the one where fucking he takes Aunt May. He gives Aunt May her life back for Peter and MJ's marriage because it's One More Day, right? Trash story. That's all I got to say about that. Uh, but the last good story I think I remember him in, specifically he was a big player in, was Infinity Gauntlet, and that's a while ago. I'm sure he's been in other stories, but I cannot. My memory is so bad that if it's not like super iconic, I cannot remember the story anymore. I have a horrible memory. But yeah, all the colors of red on this guy are nice. Like I said, the face, the nice yellow eyes, the teeth look great. His fingernails are actually painted on these hands. I don't know if they are on the other ones. We'll have to look when we get to those. But yeah, there's not a lot of paint on this guy. It's really just base plastic. But the paint that is there on the face and on the it's nice that they added it to the nails and stuff. So for made to order, it would have been nice if there was maybe some shadowing. And there might be. It might just be because my lights are a little dim that I'm thinking they're shadow, but it could be, that could be natural shadows as well. But it looks really nice. So yeah, let's get into the accessories. Or should we do? We'll do the articulation and then accessories. So for articulation, I was gonna take the cape off for this, but you're always gonna have the cape on, at least one of them. I feel like, unless you're gonna make this into a custom. Sorry, I had to pause the recording. My cat's messing with my neck, and it felt weird. But what was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah. You're not gonna really take the cape off this guy, so he's not gonna get a lot of head movement even with the cape removed. But you can get some tilt, which is really good for this character. You're gonna want the tilt, because he's a smartass and a cocky prick. But he's a cool character. You do have some pretty good butterfly joints, which is really nice. More back than forward, which we're used to with Marvel Legends, but that's just par for the course. Obviously, you got the hinge, go up there, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. That you can get farther than that, but it's not wanting. It's a little stuck. All right, there, double jointed elbow. The torso doesn't do much. It's just this, which I feel like definitely hinders how he can sit in the chair. I would have liked to have him a little, like slunched over, like hunched over, slouched, and then like have him like leaning forward maybe a little bit, like he's offering someone something. That's how I would have liked to display him, but that's gonna be hard to do with the articulation there is. That's all you get. That is disappointing for any figure, let alone a figure of this price. I hope there's customizers that come out and show like a way that we can make this a little bit better. I'm sure if you just Dremel some space up in there, it doesn't really get that gappy, so honestly, you'd probably be able to hide it. I want more forward than back, so, and even if we do, there's no crunch down here, so I don't think it's going to get all that much. You got, obviously, the hips can go out to there, go out to there, upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee, boot swivel, which is cool because that doesn't always happen when they have separate boots, which is weird. Then you got the rocker. The hinge can go back to there and go forward to there. So, yeah, he's a very mid articulation-wise figure. I think he's just great because of who the character is and because he does look great. The figure's just not the most mobile or posable. So next we're going to get into the accessories. We already showed off one. Here's the angrier head. Looks very pointy. He's got a very pointy face, which is valid. I mean, that's a valid character design for this character. That is what he looks like. And then next we have the cloth, or the plastic cape, which you'll notice has a black fade on it, but on the inside only. But this cape doesn't. So I wish they would have added an effect to that. But if he's going to be sitting on the cape, it's not a big deal. And then this is just... they're nice. These will probably get... At least this. I probably could use this as a custom for something. This, not so much. It's fine, but I'm never going to use this, probably, ever. I will say, the cape, the collar doesn't have a jewel on here. This one does. I don't know if that's I don't think that's a factory misstep. I think it's just to keep this on here, because I don't think it has... It does have a plug. I mean, this plug's in the back. I forgot this does plug in the back. So I don't know why they would have that there, but, I mean, maybe it's just two different cape styles they decided to go for, because they do look a little bit different. But, I mean, it's not crazy. And then, yeah, these are fine. And then you only get one more pair of hands, which, like I said, for this, I wish they would have went all in on something. Accessories, articulation, something. I guess they kind of did. They gave us a big-ass throne, but it doesn't feel like enough for how much this figure is. You get 2 grip hands, which are nice to have. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he comes with a sword for them to grip, which is nice. This is an awesome sword. And I don't remember what the sword's called, but I do think Mephisto uses a sword a lot of the times. And if you didn't want to give it to him, you could always give it to Dr. Doom. I always picture Dr. Doom with a sword because of Superhero Squad. But yeah, the fist, you don't get fists. I would have liked to have fists. Would have been nice. There's probably a few different types of hands that would have been nice to have. Maybe more claw-like, grabbing hands. These ones are nice, but I feel like more monstrous ones would have been cool. But yeah, the nails are painted on these hands, so that's a nice touch. But let's get into one of the selling factors besides who the character is itself. You have the throne, which I will tell you, this came in 2 different pieces. It separates very easily for what it is. I don't want to separate it because the seam line's already big enough. But this part comes off, and then this bottom part. So it's a big-ass throne with, I also forgot to mention you get a skull for him to hold. So you can have him being like a thespian, like quoting Hamlet or something. Doing some Shakespeare in the park. Do it like that. Have him talking to it. For a second there, I thought that there was a hole in the back for him to shove the sword into, but that is not what that's for. It's just, like, because of the vertebrae that connects there, like, in real life. Yeah, so this is a great piece. Like, this is amazing. It's very heavy, like, very heavy. It looks beautiful. The paintwork is actually really nice for a Marvel Legends, for a mass-produced product. You got chains down there, which could be a reference to Hellboy. Not Hellboy. Could be a reference to Hellboy, I guess. I'm assuming that's a reference to Ghost Rider. You got a bunch of skulls around there. There's a centipede crawling through this, which could be a reference to Swarm, maybe? This chain is not fully painted. Is that a chain? No, it's just the chain lays over the vines, so it looks like a chain. Still would have been nice if these vines were painted this color, instead of these ones being molded in plastic. You have another chain down here, not painted. So not everything's painted, but what is painted looks really nice. This, I don't think the skull is a reference to any character. I know a lot of people have talked about this. It could be. You could tell yourself it's Surtur if you really wanted to. Maybe he made because we don't have a Surtur, comic book Surtur yet. You could call this Surtur. and, you know, just say Mephisto killed Surtur. That'd be fine. The horn's broken right there, but it forms back in over here. I don't know if it's meant to be the same point of the horn, but that's kind of cool. You got some green vines growing in there. It's fine that they didn't paint this. I don't think anyone's going to just display the throne without having him sit in it. But they did go to work on here, so I do kind of wish that would have matched. But you can, like, say this is maybe, like, some skin or something, and then that. This is, like, a tentacle thing, which is probably a Dormammu or Doctor Strange reference. There's horns on this. That's maybe a Daredevil reference. Oh, I don't have Daredevil for comparisons. Okay, you guys aren't going to get a Daredevil comparison. Sorry. I should have thought about that, but I grabbed so many other comparisons. I don't like that this isn't painted. The bones should all be painted. That'll be my one big nitpick. But I do think the wash is really nice on, like, the ground and stuff, and this is a really nice little piece. I did think it was going to be bigger this way. It would have been nicer if there was more base on it so that, you know, it would blend in a little bit more with the display. But what we got is really nice, and he can totally sit in the chair. I'm not going to do it perfectly because I don't want to sit here and finagle him sitting in here for an hour just for me to have to stand him back up for the size comparisons. But he can, you know, very roughly, even just roughly, you can do something. Make him look like he's kicking back. That's not a great pose, but, you know. And then for the sword, this actually has a hole in it. It's a little weird with the tentacle. It feels a little bit like you're going to break the sword the way you put it in there, but you just got to make sure you do it right. And then you can either put the grip hand on there or just have him resting his hand on the sword or just have the sword sitting there or not use the sword at all. So this is the display. Actually, what we're going to do is I already showed what he looks like tall next to other people, so we are going to keep him in this because this is how most people are going to display him. So we're going to just do size comparisons in the throne. How about that? For starters, we're going to start off with the amazing Yamaguchi Moon Knight, just because I already had him out. And then I'm going to Mezco in there. Here's the Mezco Morbius. We're going to be doing a lot of size comparisons because I'm very excited for this figure. But they look great together. I just wanted to get an amazing Yamaguchi in there and a Mezco in there. And I think these are perfect. These are on my Midnight Suns display. Most of these characters are on my Midnight Suns display. Crap, I knocked over the camera. I'm so sorry, you guys. Did not mean to do that. Sorry, I'm just so excited that it's got me doing mistakes. And then next, we're going to move right on to characters that aren't in the Midnight Suns display first. Because I just want to show off him next to some other big bads. This is like when I think of big bads in the Marvel Universe, Mephisto's not one of them yet. I would think of Dormammu before Mephisto, but I think of, you know, Doom, obviously. I think of my boy, who else? Ultron. I'll think of Ultron. Obviously, I said Dormammu, so we're going to put Dormammu in there. People think of Thanos now. And then, Magneto, I guess, even though I don't really view Magneto as that much of a villain. And then, yeah, Galactus. Those are probably the ones I think of the most. And then maybe like Venom or Green Goblin or somebody like that. Here's the Gamerverse Thanos. I don't have the Marvel's hood Hasbro figure right now, but here's the hood if you wanted to put the hood, because isn't this didn't Mephisto give the hood his powers? I don't remember. Because the hood is not a character I care about that much. He is going to be in Marvel Rivals, which is kind of cool. But this hood looks good, but the figure's trash, and so I don't use the figure. And then here's Magic, because I'm pretty sure Magic's whole thing is, what's it called? Limbo is tied into Mephisto somehow. I think someone else got her in there, but Mephisto's also the mastermind behind it. I don't read a lot of Magic. I know who the character is. I've read some of her, like New Mutants and stuff. I don't read a lot of her solo stuff, so I don't remember her a lot. She is one of the X-Men I admittedly know less about. I do know enough about her, but yeah. And then here's this is the Jada Toys Universal Monsters Werewolf, Wolfman. I use him as my Werewolf by Night because the Marvel Legends one fucking sucks. I still might pick that one up because I want to get I'm gonna pick that up because I want the Executioner Bath, but This is who I'll probably continue to use him until I start up a Universal Monsters or horror display, and then need this guy, and then I'll have the Marvel Legends when I get that. But I think they look good next to him. And then here's a couple others. So this is actually, what's her name again? All Hallows Eve, or just Hallows Eve. This has been Riley's girlfriend as a bad guy. I'm gonna have her next to Mephisto, and then the woman that gave her her powers, the Goblin Queen, she'll be next to Mephisto as well. Great start to a little display. If you don't have much, and these are pretty easy figures to come by, so if you need nice horror figures to put with him, they'll be nice. We have Sleepwalker, who is also on my Midnight Suns display. Great character. Pretty good figure for what it is, honestly. I don't mind that figure at all. And then I don't have a Doctor Strange out here, but I do have Wong. Because I didn't want to pull Doctor Strange out of the display. But they are both in my Midnight Suns display, and so is Bats. I probably should have grabbed Bats, but that's fine. And then we'll get into some... Well, like I said, the Azazel comparison. So we have, just in case you ever want to use that for an Azazel custom, we have the X-Men... That's the retro-carded Mystique from Target exclusive. And then here's the X-Men 97 Nightcrawler, since it would be his dad. Azazel would be his dad. That's not Azazel. I just want to make that clear. And then I'll put all the engines of I keep saying Engine of Vengeance because that Robbie Reyes figure's on my mind and I need him for this display. Here's the Spirit Spider. I think that's what he's called. Because Ghost Spider is Gwen, so whatever. Here's one of the original, like, really old Hasbro Ghost Riders, which is still a figure I love for how gritty it feels. Don't get me wrong, I do prefer the newer one. That I'm gonna have to pick that guy up, the classic Johnny, but I like how just gritty this version feels. And then here was my last. This was the display piece for Midnight Suns before. Now it'll be this. And I still have this, but I need to find out a more clever way to display this guy. Unless I decide to put this guy in the villains display. But these are all the, Spirit of Vengeances I have. I actually don't even know if this is a Spirit of Vengeance. I know nothing about this besides the look. And it's a trash look, and I hate the look a lot. But I needed it for the Spider-Verse, because I'm a sucker. But, Danny Ketch is the best Ghost Rider, by the way. Don't at me. And then for the last Marvel figure I have to put up here, here's the Man-Thing. I'm actually going to keep it, kind of, because this is how I have it, kind of hunched over. So, this is really cool. I like having him up here. And then, this is a custom, Etrigan the Demon that I bought off eBay. It's not perfect, but it's pretty cool, honestly. It's very classic, so, if you want to mix your demon stuff, that'd be fine. And then we have another Mezco up here. Here's the Mezco Constantine, because Constantine would totally tumble with this asshole. And then this is the, what is this? Masters of the Universe Classics, or Masters of the Universe Masterverse. This might just be Masterverse. Mossman that I'm using as a stand-in for Swamp Thing. So, if you wanted to, put that up there. And then, last but not least, just because he's a devil, we have my boy Denji. This is the Reze Arc SH Figure Arts Chainsaw Man. And I don't want to take him out of this pose because I like the way it sits on my shelf. But I will put in... Here's a Deadpool. Here's a Marvel Legends Deadpool. Here, we'll have them both. You'll see what they look like. Or you could do something, kind of cool and, maybe put him, doing something, sitting on the throne like that. You could do something like this. I might do that with some not with Denji, but with some Marvel characters. Have them, around there. Maybe get a couple... Do they make good demon action figures? Any, little small, lesser demons? I know Mythic Legions is like vampires. Do they do demons? Let me know if there's any good demon figures that y'all think I should pick up. Yeah. I think that would be really cool. I didn't even think of that before. Some, infernal demons or something from X-Men or something like that. That would be cool. And then I also forgot to mention, yes, like I said, these do go in there. These hands go, and you know they work very well with the sword. So if you want to get him, you can totally get him in some poses. You don't just have to have him doing like sitting in the throne. You could like maybe have him like something like this with some clever angles or something, like he's like that, or like he's like sitting on the back. He could sit on the back of it even if he really wanted him to. I might do something like that, just have him like being a smartass just up on the display like in front of everybody. But yeah, that's the figure, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that I probably don't have the size comparisons most of y'all want. I would have liked to have Blackheart here before I had this guy, but I completely forgot to pick that figure up. People were saying that figure sucks, is why I really didn't want to buy all of the other figures, even though there's figures that I really wanted in that line, like especially Lilith. Lilith is the one I wanted the most, but then like Damon Hellstrom, I wanted him as well. So we'll see, how good that figure is when I get it, because I'm definitely getting that, and I'll have to pay over for the Moon Knight because he's hard to get for some reason, even though he's just a normal Midnight figure. It's not that great. I guess it's because it's the look from the West Coast Avengers, which I do like. Don't get me wrong, I do like that look, but yeah. And then I'm getting the Robbie. Robbie is a must-have for me. He's a character I have needed forever, and I would have probably overpaid for the Agenda of Vengeance if that ever released, but it didn't. So, because it was a horrible price. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you like this figure. If you like it, it's still up on Pulse. It's been up on Pulse for like a week now. I do kind of want to get Dragon Man now, just because these made-to-order figures have been awesome. This guy's great. The X-Men 97 Sentinel is great. I have no doubt in my mind that the Apocalypse is going to be great. So I'm in on them. I think I'm in on this line. Well, made-to-order lines are going to be great, I think. Way better than HasLab. Hopefully they do a made-to-order Galactus of some kind, like maybe a smaller Galactus that's cheaper, or just as big and expensive, but a different deco, maybe like a Fantastic Four animated series deco or something. And then my dream, obviously Fing Fang Foom would be probably a big dream, but my dream is Mangog from Marvel Comics. Well, obviously from Marvel Comics. I don't know why I said that. Mangog is my dream. I love Mangog. Gog is so amazing. He's also in some newer comics, so I don't think that's a realm of, like, just over. Like, I don't think that it's something that would never happen, because he's in newer Spider-Man comics specifically, where he's like the pet of Boomerang and Peter and them as roommates. So I would like him to come with a couple different forms of Gog, maybe a normal, like, 6-inch scale figure, maybe a little bigger, and then a huge one, and then like the small baby version. So yeah, that's just my dream. Let me know you guys' dream one in the comments, and also let me know if there's any cool demon action figures I can put with this guy. I really gotta start thinking of demon stuff now. Obviously I could buy some horror characters, like the Crooked Man comes to mind from the NECA line from Conjuring. I don't like the Conjuring movies very much, but I do like the design of that character. So, and it's not, I'm not such a fan of Conjuring where that's like an iconic design. It's not Annabelle or the Nun, so such an iconic design for that franchise. It wouldn't be like shoving, even though I feel like you could shove Freddy Krueger in here too. I'm rambling now, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Pick him up if you want him, and bye.